I still feel like this profession is a noble profession and I have purpose in what I do. So, I'm able to weather through that and try to just keep the department going in the right direction.
和平是金，战争是铁，这是旧金山警察局的格言。但讽刺的是，旧金山警察局2021年数字显示，全市反亚太裔的仇恨犯罪案件数量激增，较前一年增加了500%以上。反亚裔仇恨犯罪的暴增，证明了亚太裔社区长期被人盯上的感受，更印证了许多亚太裔社区民众的担忧。想想在自己的社区或者是自己熟悉的环境还会害怕，那是一种多么可怕的感觉。而这些袭击让旧金山的亚裔居民感受到震怒，同时应对暴力的问题也成了族群分裂的根源。反亚裔仇恨犯罪不断持续当中，旧金山身为北美人口稠密第2高的城市，旧金山警察局也是美国第11大的警察部门。那旧金山警察局如何区别仇恨犯罪跟普通犯罪呢？面对仇恨犯罪案件的增加，又如何的处理呢？未来又会如何改善公共安全，让居民跟游客更安心呢？在今天的仇恨边缘当中，我们为大家邀请到是旧金山警察局局长 Bill Scott 来带我们一块关注旧金山的仇恨犯罪跟治安。各位仇恨边缘的观众朋友们，晚安！在今天的节目当中呢，我们特别为大家邀请到是旧金山市警察局的局长 Bill Scott 来到我们节目当中，一块来关心我们今晚的话题。Hi Chief, how are you today?
Doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on our show. Before we start to talk about our topic, hate crime, could you please tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to become a chief of San Francisco Police Department?
Sure. So I've been in law enforcement for 33 years, a little over 33 years, but my first 27 were in Los Angeles with the Los Angeles Police Department. In 2017, late Mayor Ed Lee hired me for the San Francisco Police Department as chief of police, and I applied along with 61 other applicants, and I was fortunate enough to be hired by Mayor Lee, and that was really one of the highlights of my life, to be here in San Francisco. What got me into policing was I was recruited by a relative, a cousin who was an LAPD officer in the 80s, and he really thought that this profession would be something that I would be good at based on my personality and all that, so he started to recruit me to come to Los Angeles to be a police officer because I grew up in Alabama. And so that is what brought me to California and started me in this profession. And it's been an honor. It's been a great 33 years.
So San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Alabama, right? So what does police culture in San Francisco compared to that of Los Angeles and your hometown, Alabama?
I think the basics of policing are the same. I think in all three places, what the police departments try to do is protect the public, protect the public from crime, try to prevent crime. But the cities themselves are very, very different. It's different politically, it's different with how policing is viewed. Where I grew up, I think, is a lot more conservative than what I experienced in Los Angeles and San Francisco. I think San Francisco is probably the most liberal of the three, and that comes with some good things and it comes with some challenges.
So you're talking about the challenge. You have been the chief of San Francisco Police Department for over like 6 years already. So what was the biggest challenge or obstacle to you?
Well, when Mayor Lee hired me, one of the things that he hired me for was reform. The department and the city had entered into an agreement with the United States Department of Justice on a reform initiative that brought 272 reform recommendations, and that was one of the things that I brought to the table because I had been involved in a reform initiative with LAPD in Los Angeles. So reform means change, and change is difficult. So that was a challenge to really get the reforms underway and get the reforms implemented. We're now 90% implemented on those 272 and working on the other. We have 245 that we've initiated and implemented. We have 27 remaining. But all the while, we still have to address, crime and quality of life issues and try to keep our staffing levels up. So the balance of doing all that is a big challenge. And then in 2020, after the COVID pandemic, struck this country and the world, actually, it's a worldwide pandemic, that made our challenges even worse, because in 2020, right in the midst of the pandemic, we had the incident in Minneapolis involving George Floyd, and it really changed policing. I think policing will be changed forever. We saw protests and civil unrest and uprisings all across the country. This city, our officers did a really good job, I think, in handling those protests, with treating people with respect and dignity, but letting them exercise their First Amendment rights and vent their frustrations and say what needed to be said. But policing has changed since 2020. We lost the profession of policing, lost a lot of people, and this department has gotten smaller since 2020. So right now we're short about over 500 officers from where we should be based on our workload. And so now we have to kind of reevaluate how we do business to meet the challenges with less people.
I was wondering, as a chief of San Francisco Police Department, what's your daily and routine work?
Work. So, sometimes I'm here 14, 15 hours a day, and, I have a family, so you have to balance, the family obligations, but it's a challenge. My days are filled with work. It's 7 days a week. The phone never stops ringing. So it's demanding, but I love it. And that's why I'm able to do it, because I still enjoy what I do. I still feel like this profession is a noble profession, and I have purpose in what I do. So, the old saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I kind of believe that, because I'm able to do it, and it doesn't, I know as I get older and I get more wisdom and all that, but I still have energy and I still like what I do. I still love coming to work. Good days and bad days, but I'm able to weather through that and try to just keep the department going in the right direction.
Thank you for sharing. 在下节节目当中，我们将请局长跟我们分析一下这个仇恨犯罪跟一般犯罪到底有什么不一样的。我们先进段广告，待会继续聊。因为疫情以及其他的政治因素，亚太一成为了仇恨犯罪的代罪羔羊。虽然许多华裔居民呼吁大幅增加警力巡逻，不过旧金山的亚太一的领袖表示，他们更愿意寻求不涉及执法部门的解决方案。在这样的情况下，如何让更多的民众避免成为罪案的受害人？警方又有哪些配套措施来保护居民的安全呢？接下来我们继续跟我们今晚的特别嘉宾，也就是旧金山市警察局局长 Bill Scott 来聊一聊。Hello, Chief. Thank you again for joining us on our show. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
So when it comes to combating hate crime in the city, can you share any data that San Francisco Police Department has corrected over the past years?
Yes. So in 2022, we had 36 hate crimes, and this year to date, 14. So we've seen a decline over the last few years. 2020 was a tough year. The pandemic. There was a lot of really hateful behaviors that were in the public space, and a lot of it aimed at the Asian American, Pacific Islander community, and with the pandemic and people pointing fingers and all that, in San Francisco, 2021, there was one person responsible for over 30 hate crimes, and he was arrested, he was prosecuted, but that one person did a lot of damage to the city in terms of spreading hate. And a few things that, in terms of statistics, on top of the cases that were actually hate crimes that met the statute, what the law says is a hate crime, there were many other incidents that were hate or prejudice-based incidents that did not amount to crimes. Just people leaving hateful notes on their cars, things about the pandemic, particularly against, Chinese Americans or Chinese people in our city. And it was really disturbing to see that. And part of what we try to do in terms of working with people in our city, our community members, is encourage people to report. We'll take the report and based on the facts, determine whether it's an actual hate crime or something less than a crime. But we still encourage people, even if it's not a crime, if you have a hate-based or prejudice-based incident, please report it, is what I would like the public to know.
So we talk about hate crime. How does SFPD define the hate crime and the regular crime?
So hate crimes have to be motivated. Number one, it's interfering with a protected activity. If you have a right to, let's say, to vote, you have a right to walk down the street, you have First Amendment rights. But also the crime, if you are, let's say, assaulted and statements are made that indicate that the motive was based on a protected activity, your race, your gender, those types of things, your religion, your religious beliefs, that's what elevates it to a hate crime. And it's not always easy to prove those things. For instance, we had a number of cases in the past few years where Asian American community members felt that they were being targeted. And it ranged from home invasions to street robberies where people felt they were being targeted. Some of them were difficult to prove that it was based on race. Now, we were able to work with our prosecutors and have some of those cases actually prosecuted. We had a gentleman murdered. He was an Asian American Pacific Islander. He was murdered. And we solved the case. Our investigators did a really good job, and the prosecutors filed the case, and they filed hate allegations on that case. So we have to be able to prove that the motive is based on that type of animus, if you will, in order for it to be classified as a hate crime. And it's frustrating for some of our victims because they believe in their hearts that they were targeted because of some factor like race or religious beliefs or what have you. But if we can't prove it, it's hard for the prosecution to prove it. So that's why it's so important to report everything. It's really important because sometimes we can go back and we can look at the offender's history. Mm-hmm. They may have a history of doing this. They may have a history of racist or hateful or religious-based or sexual identity-based crimes. And if that's the case, it makes our jobs a little bit easier to prove that the crime is actually a hate crime.
So can you please walk us through how does SFPD handles the hate crimes case?
We have a specialized investigative unit that handles hate crimes. And they are good at what they do. And one of the things that if I had a perfect world, we would have more people assigned to that unit. But the investigators we have are really, really good. Bilingual, multilingual. They understand this issue very much. They're compassionate. They treat our victims with empathy. And so it is a specialized function because, as I said, they're complicated and they're hard to prove. So our investigators, many of them, or several of them anyway, have been doing this for a while. They really understand the work, and so we need that type of specialization. These are not the type of crimes that we have a unit called General Works where they kind of handle everything from assaults to kind of a general crimes. And we need specialization in some of our functions, like hate crimes are one of them. Domestic violence, we have officers from SVU or Special Victims Unit that they specialize in what they do. Hate crimes is one of the units that is specialized, and that's really important.
Wow. We really do appreciate your insights. Let's take a break from here. I believe our audience got a lot of information from our conversation. Thank you. 各位观众朋友，您听过社区大使计划吗？旧金山有一个社区大使计划，到底是什么呢？它如何跟我们旧金山市的警察局来做合作？稍微休息一下之后，待会给你更多的讯息。随着城市街头的重新开放，会有更多人走上街头，仇恨犯罪跟仇恨事件的比例会因此增加吗？许多仇恨犯罪的受害人可能有语言的障碍 ，SFPD 是否计划为非英语人士提供额外的语言支持服务呢？在 SFPD 为改善公共安全方面，有任何当前或者是即将实施的计划来确保民众以及游客的安全吗？继续欢迎我们旧金山市的警察局局长 Bill Scott 来带我们了解更多的详情。Hi, Chief. Let's talk about the victim part. So I know the many victims of the hate crime maybe have like language barriers. So does the SFPD has any language support service for the non-English speakers?
We do. The SFPD has, we have certified officers, officers certified in 9 different languages. Could be more than that. But those officers, if officers are not certified, they have methods and access to interpreters through their phones. You know, we have an app. There's a service that we can call to translate. Because if you can't communicate, then you can't get the information needed to report crime, to investigate crime, and we take that very, very seriously.
I understand that San Francisco has a community ambassador program. So what's that? How it work with SFPD?
Our police department has a SFPD ambassador program where we hire retired police officers and we bring them back. They're not armed. They don't exercise police powers, but they walk the beats. They have a police radio. Because they're retired officers, they understand what to look for. They understand how to communicate with the on-duty police officers. And it's really a value to the city for them to come back and do what they do because, for instance, we have ambassadors in Chinatown. And if they see something, they'll get on the radio and they'll call officers, and so it's a quicker response, actually. But also, they've prevented crimes. You know, they'll see somebody scoping out a car to break into, and they've prevented that car break-in, or they prevented people from perhaps people waiting to rob somebody or snatch a purse, and they see it, they call it out, and sometimes they've intervened. So it's a really, really important thing. We've been doing that for a couple of years now, about 2 years, a little over 2 years, and we have about 70 SFPD ambassadors. On top of that, the city has welcome ambassadors. The city has its own ambassador program. For instance, if you go to different parts of the city, Union Square, Chinatown, other parts of the city, you will see San Francisco welcome ambassadors. You know, you can stop them and ask them for directions, or hey, where is the mall? Where is your favorite restaurant? And they will help you. In Chinatown, the mayor a few years ago implemented a ambassador service where community members and a lot of our community-based nonprofits, where they would walk with particularly the elderly people who were getting victimized and their purses snatched or robbed when they came out of a bank. So people will walk to and from banks or the grocery store, the market, because what we know is that people who are going to prey upon people, particularly the elderly population, which is awful in my opinion, they're more likely to do it when somebody's alone.
Yeah, so about the public safety, can you share any current or upcoming safety program you have?
Well, we have a number of safety programs. I encourage people in the community, whether you live here or work here, to engage with the city with the police department. We have neighborhood watch associations. We have business association, community business districts called CBDs. We have many opportunities to be involved and engaged to make our community safer, because when it comes to crime prevention, intervening in some of the things that we see on the streets, that type of cooperation, collaboration, engagement really, really matters. I'll give you Chinatown, for example. You know, the 6 companies, we have a good relationship with them. We have meetings. We had a town hall that was conducted by one of our commanders, Julian Ng, who grew up in the community, grew up in the city, understands the city. And so we bring people together so we can work on solving some of our difficult problems in the city. A couple of years ago, we were having way too many elderly Chinese community members robbed and assaulted and all. And we solved a lot of those cases. Some of them went viral on the internet, and it's really disturbing, and it had people scared. So that has gotten much better. We solved a lot of cases. People were in jail and they're prosecuted, and so we're not having as many of those anymore, but we still have some of them. And until we get to 0, our work is not done. So ideally, we don't want to have any crime, but you know, we know there's always going to be people out there that will take advantage of people, and we need to be out there to prevent it. But if we can't prevent it, we need to be out there to arrest them and help the DA in the prosecution of these people that are committing these types of crimes.
I see. So with the city reopening right now, I believe many people will be out of on the street. So do you believe the hate crime will increase? The percentage will increase again?
As more people come out, you know, like I said, 2021, it was spiked, but a lot of that was one person. Not all of it, but a significant amount. And we're continuing to see it go down. We're going to do what we can. And that's why it's so important to communicate and work in partnership. That's what makes a strong community. You know, one thing that I was really happy with when we did see an increase in hate crimes, people came together from all over the city to support each other. We're all in this together, and we all suffer. If one person suffers, if one group suffers, we all suffer. So that's how we have to look at things. That's how I look at things anyway, and we're stronger together. So
we should be strong together, yeah. So the last question of today, okay, do you have any advice or suggestion to our audience?
Well, yes. We need people to join the San Francisco Police Department. We need people. We're asking for people from our city. You know, it's a great profession. You know, for me, 33 years, I have no regrets. It's been a great profession. We're hiring. We're hiring. We want to fill the seats in the academy. We would love to hire people who live here or who want to live here in the city. Join SFPD. Be a part of the change that we need.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for you taking the time to speak with us. Hope we have another chance, opportunity to speak with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Glad to. Thank you very much. Thank you.
过往在光天化日之下，就会有亚裔人士遭到攻击。旧金山的种族仇恨犯罪、反亚裔仇恨暴力这样悲剧还没有结束，也不会马上结束。因此，作为一个亚裔的整体，我们必须互相保护着彼此，从现在到未来。除了靠警方的保护之外，我们更需要比以往付出更多的努力，别让过往的努力白费。加强警民合作，恢复生活安全感，平息恐惧，阻止肇事者继续在旧金山实施暴力袭击。感谢您的收看，我是海翔，下回节目再见。